What's up guys, Mike here, and Kemba Walker just got traded by the Boston Celtics to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Al Horford and Moses Brown. The Celtics are also giving up the number 16 pick in the 2021 draft, and the consensus around the internet seems to be two things right now. Number one, people are very surprised that you could trade at all right now, because normally trades do not happen during the actual playoffs, but yes, teams are actually allowed to trade if they're not in the playoffs or if their team is eliminated, so that is the explanation for that. The second thing that everyone is saying though is that the Celtics got absolutely fleeced. And to that I have to say I'm not so sure about that. So definitely stick around for this video because we're going to be talking about this trade. We're going to be talking about the Boston Celtics future. We're going to be talking about what this trade means for the Oklahoma City Thunder at the end. Before we get into that, I do want to say please make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't already. I would appreciate that so much, and I would also appreciate if you guys like the video. It helps me out a ton with YouTube's algorithm. And for now, let's talk about the Boston Celtics here, because like I said, a lot of people are saying that the Celtics got absolutely fleeced. They are saying that the Thunder easily won this deal, and I even tweeted out, my thing is, unless you're absolutely positive that this is the best deal you'll get for Kemba, why trade him this quickly? It feels like the Celtics rushed this, and I do stand by my own statement there. The thing is, I am not Brad Stevens. I am not a member of the Celtics front office. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Now, what we do know is two things. One, Kemba Walker was unhappy in Boston, and two, Kemba Walker was very unhealthy in Boston. And it is Kemba's health that makes this trade a little bit confusing for me, because from the outside looking in, yes, I would agree, it does seem like the Celtics got fleeced, I guess. But when we take a deep dive into this trade, what were the Celtics really going to get for Kemba Walker? At this point, based on this trade and just based on everything that I've seen around the NBA, it appears that Kemba was seen as a negative asset at this point. I mean, the trade possibilities that were being thrown out there were Kemba for John Wall, Kemba possibly going to the Knicks, and it was mentioned by several websites previous to this trade that Al Horford was a good asset to get back in return for Kemba Walker. The reason being is that, to put this simply, no team wants Kemba Walker's contract right now. Now, could that possibly change it? Yes. A lot of people are saying that part of the reason why the Thunder won this deal is that they think that Kemba is going to go to Oklahoma City, that he is going to play great, and then the Thunder are going to be able to trade him for even more assets. That to me is not only not a sure thing, but I do not think that's going to happen. There's a reason why Kemba's trade value is so low, and that is his knees. The man has not been healthy for the last 2 seasons. Basically, ever since he became a Boston Celtic, he has not been the same player that he was in Charlotte, and now he is already 31 years old. When you have a 31-year-old point guard with knee injuries that's listed at 6 foot tall but is probably shorter, you potentially have a disaster on your hands. But before we continue, guys, I'm very excited to say that someone I've worked with a long time, SeatGeek, is back and sponsoring this video. And honestly, they couldn't be coming back at a better time because live events are back and SeatGeek has all the deals you could possibly want. Whether it's basketball, baseball, football, concerts, festivals, or you name it, SeatGeek puts tickets from all over the web and puts them all in one place for you to get the best deal possible. Buying with SeatGeek is very simple, and personally, my favorite thing is on SeatGeek, they rate every single ticket from 0 to 10, so you know that you are getting the best deal imaginable. And when you're on the app looking at tickets, SeatGeek also gives you a preview of the seat you're about to buy. And also, guys, this is really a no-brainer because SeatGeek is hooking you guys up. If you go and download SeatGeek and use the promo code 2KMike, you are going to get $20 off your first order. That is $20 off your first purchase using the promo code 2KMike. An awesome deal. I know you guys are excited to go watch live sports again, so make sure you go click the link in the description. Make sure you go download SeatGeek, use my promo code, get $20 off, and with that said, let's continue with the video. And who else would know this more than Boston's training staff, than the Boston Celtics themselves? They have been around Kemba day in and day out for the last 2 years. The training staff knows what's going on with Kemba's knees. If they are trading away Kemba right now for this kind of trade package, I mean, I think it's very possible that Boston knows things that we don't. I think that they really believe that this may have been the best deal they could possibly have. Now, when we compare the two contracts of Kemba Walker and Al Horford, we find that the Celtics are going to save about $10 million this next season, and then in 2023, Al Horford's deal is actually only partially guaranteed for $14.5 million, which when compared to Kemba's player option of $37.6 million, which he is absolutely going to agree to, we find a difference of about $23.1 million, which is huge. For the 2023 season, that is a big difference. Once we get to 2023, this trade is definitely going to make an impact. contract. Now, as for this offseason, the $10 million that they are saving is not really going to change all that much. The reason I say that is that when we look at the Celtics salary cap situation for the 2022 season, they already owe their players around $120 million, and last year's salary cap was only $109 million, so you get the point there. The Celtics are already over the salary cap going into this offseason. That means unless a sign and trade takes place, don't expect them to just sign a point guard in free agency. However, with that said, with names out there like Lonzo Ball, a sign and trade definitely could be in play here. So in response to this trade, we'll definitely see what the Celtics do going forward. I do not think this is the Celtics' final move this offseason by any shot. I think that another trade is certainly coming, and as for Moses Brown here, people seem to be really valuing that number 16 pick that the Celtics gave up to the Thunder in exchange for this trade. However, I feel like people are also sleeping on Moses Brown. Now, I'm sure a lot of us can be honest here. I mean, the Oklahoma City Thunder were awful this season, so it's not like many of us were watching Oklahoma City Thunder games. However, if we look at Moses Brown, the man is a 7'2" center who is a rebounding monster. And I'm not just throwing that term out lightly. Per 36 minutes last season, Moses Brown averaged 15 rebounds per game and 6 offensive rebounds per game. He also averaged 14.5 points per 36 minutes, shot around 55% from the field, and his base stats of 8.6 points per game and 8.9 rebounds per game for a 21-year-old center are definitely promising. In fact, I would go as far as to say that Moses Brown seems like he's worth the number 16 pick in the draft. And so when we look at this trade really for Boston, the thing is we can't blame the current front office for the mistakes of the past front office. Brad Stevens is coming into, quite frankly, a tough situation. The Celtics should not have traded for Kemba Walker. They should have just kept Terry Rozier. If they had done that, they would currently be in a much better place. However, they didn't, and that is not Brad Stevens' fault. He did not make that move. Now that he is taking over the front office, the fact that he is trading Kemba Walker almost immediately, a player he coached, probably says a lot. Again, I just don't think the Celtics have much faith in Kemba Walker. The thing is, if I'm Brad Stevens right here, I'm doing my best to make sure that my stars, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, are happy. And sure, this Kemba Walker trade is not going to make this team much better come next season. They might actually take a small step back if they're not able to find a good point guard replacement. However, Jaylen Brown is signed until 2024. Jason Tatum is signed until 2025, and he's a player option in 2026. What I'm saying when I bring these two players' contracts up is that the Celtics are looking long-term here. They clearly believe that Kemba Walker's contract is just going to become more and more untradeable. They think that this is selling at the absolute best time that they can sell, and come the 2023 offseason, when suddenly they do have way more cap space because they traded Kemba for Al Horford, this was a long-term move. And when we look at the summer of 2022, when this trade is actually going to make a huge financial difference, because again, the Celtics will be saving $23 million, there are currently a ton of potential free agents. We've got Bradley Beal, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, Zach LaVine, Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler. All of those guys could potentially be free agents in 2022. Now, are a lot of those guys going to re-sign with their teams? Yes. However, when you look at guys like Bradley Beal, when you look at guys, and it kills me to say this as a Bulls fan, but like Zach LaVine, if their teams continue to underperform, those guys could certainly be free agents in the 2022 offseason. And if that happens, well, then the Celtics are setting themselves up to have the cap space to sign a big name like one of those guys. If they did not trade Kemba Walker, if they had to pay him over $30 million, to put it very simply, they would not have a chance at any of these guys. So that is why I'm saying, from the Boston Celtics perspective, we have to give this time. We have to see what they do the rest of this offseason, and then we have to see what they do going forward. Now, as for the Oklahoma City Thunder, unlike the Celtics, where I could see both ways, I could see some people not liking the Celtics trade, while I could also see a lot of people liking this trade. For the Thunder, I just think this is a no-brainer. I just think this is another great trade. Sure, are the Thunder taking on Kemba Walker's contract right now, which is a giant risk? Yes. However, they have the cap space to pay that. They are currently not in a situation at all where they're trying to contend. They're rebuilding, they're just trying to build up their foundation, and they get yet another pick to do so. This year's draft is going to be huge for OKC. They actually now have 3 first-round picks. They currently have the 4th best odds in the NBA draft lottery, as well as now the Celtics number 16 pick and the number 18 pick from the Miami Heat. So OKC is just continuing to get picks. They're going to continue to collect assets. Let's hope they learn from the Boston Celtics of the past and turn those assets into a contending team. And really, with the sheer amount of picks they have no reason decision not to build a contender. The Thunder are going to be bad for a few seasons, sure, but once all of these picks start coming in, once some of these guys develop, once the Thunder trade some of these picks or young prospects for more established stars, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be in a very, very good position come 2, 3, 4 seasons from now. Which I've got to say, we have to give a ton of credit to the Thunder's front office. Did they end up going from a surefire contender for basically a decade with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook to their current situation? Sure. However, there are plenty of teams that lose NBA stars for basically nothing. The Thunder have basically gotten as much value as possible recently in their trades. Like I said, they are building a very solid foundation for the future, and I cannot wait to see what they do, because if they pull this off, if they make the right moves, well, I can imagine that team is going to become very scary. So there we have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe, make sure to turn post notifications on, and of course, please leave a like, because it also helps me out a ton with YouTube's algorithm. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day, guys, and cue that music. If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.